Hello, people. Welcome to a new episode of Down to Earth with Christian Harloff. I know I'm not Christian, but I'm covering for him because he's really busy right now. We basically want to cover the story, which I already talked to him about, of Jason Sands. I was out and about on Saturday. I wasn't paying attention to Twitter or anything. And then I started getting a lot of messages about this guy who was on a space spilling out secrets. Someone who is allegedly on the program. He is Jason Sands. He's supposed to be part of the James Fox's documentary called The Program. So I jumped in for a little while. I heard some of his stuff that he's talking about, and it's really wild when I saw the names of Leslie Keene or Engaging the Phenomenon, which is James Yandoli's page, and a lot of many more like big names who were listening to the conversation. I heard even that James Fox himself was uh, there for a few minutes. So that was already pretty impressive for me. So when I started listening for a little while, I saw that many of the most famous debunkers were asking him questions, and he was allowing them to ask the questions. And he came across as really like straightforward and transparent in many cases. But he was asked about the 20 and Me program, which was famous because of Corey Good's story. Eventually, that program was Good himself was at a deposition, and he admitted that this program was invented by him, uh, and it wasn't true. But he kept telling the story because it was helping people. So that was debunked a long time ago. And when he was asked about it, he said he was part of this program and he didn't want to talk about it. And eventually, he just released a statement saying that uh, he got confused talking about it. So the whole story is kind of iffy, kind of weird, difficult to pinpoint. And I think that also Eric Davis, who is known for the Wilson Davis memo, he came out and said some not very savory things about him. What I'll do is I'm going to share the screen so you can get the whole gist of it. I'm going to share the screen right here. There we go. Okay, so this is the initial video of Sans where he was talking on this space. I'm going to play it for you guys so you can hear what he's saying. And this is the wildest claim he made, which is that he had direct contact with an NHI. Here it is.
War was really when this kicked off. Were the NHIs involved from the beginning, or did they come in years later or before the program?
I think that it's possible that our government had some previous contacts, but I do believe that in 1954 that the program was stood up officially and has been, striving forward ever since. Um, so, as for the person I met in the desert that was 3 feet away from me, he to me, his skin looked the same as what an albino would have, very, very pale white. Uh, and he was a little bit shorter than me. I stand about 6 foot. He was a few inches shorter, maybe 5'6", 5'7". Uh, so I had a very good look at him. I think people have asked me about it before, and I would say he probably looks more like a tall white than he does anybody else, but the ears are something that really threw me off. But you'll hear more about that when James Fox's film comes out later this year. And by the way, he is trying his,
54.
Okay, so then Eric Davis said Sands turned out to be either a liar or a believer of his own BS. He was never vetted, and his story keeps changing. People collaborate with people I collaborate with have met him and realized that his claims don't hold water. The only thing that they felt was certain from meeting Sands is that he likely did work at the United States Air Force bases. So that's Davis coming against Sands. And then Sands, also Rick Doty, eventually also said that Sands was a psyop. But we have this picture from James Fox from his documentary, just a little snippet where Jason Sands' name appears right here, which is already a clue. And I was told that many of the people that are within the community and know about this stuff have already heard about Jason Sands' story, and uh, some of them didn't really fully believe what he was saying. And there's this other clip from today of Christian where he's talking to Jesse Michaels about it. And I'm going to play that for you right now.
James Fox, who's very respected in the community, goes and he's making a new document, and he has this interview where he says that he's got this guy, and he's seen documents with this guy, he's seen pictures with this guy, and everyone's like, well, it's got to be this Jason Sands guy, because then Jason Sands comes out and he does this interview on Twitter Spaces. Which
not a good first move.
What are you doing? That's where you need a guy like you to say, let me set up the News Nation or something, or do something, because you're doing Twitter Spaces right away. That made me go, huh? What's he doing there? And so he detailed a lot of stuff. Now, one of the things that threw me off with this, they asked him about Grush, and he said, have you worked with Grush? And he's like, I've worked with Grush. He called him Grush. Called him Grush, like, and we talk all the time. I'm like, well, why are you calling him Grush? And it's like that, and that could just be a little thing inside of my head because I'm just now at this point, I'm looking at, I try to have a skeptic point of view as much as I have the disclosure point of view in there too. But this guy's talking about a lot of different things, because if the stuff that he's saying is accurate, and a guy like David Grush goes, no, this guy's legit. James Fox he's legit. Leslie Kane was in there listening to this Twitter Spaces when this thing was happening. Sure. So if all these people back this guy up, and he turns out to be the whistleblower and says the kind of shit that he's saying, it'll blow the roof off the place. But the first question is, are you following this guy, and what do you make of him?
I am following him. I met him once.
Okay.
So maybe the sort of revealed preference is that I didn't do a show with him. But I don't also actively distrust the guy. It's not like I don't want to knock him. But
you're like the rest of us. Something you want to see what's going on.
I want
to
see what's going on first, and definitely kind of a weird initial PR move to do Twitter Spaces if you're like the first guy that like dealt with the material firsthand. So I don't know what your goal is there, but look, he seemed, when I met him, like pretty earnest and actually a little almost traumatized or something. Like
interesting.
He had gone through like a lot.
But
I just don't know exactly what to make of him. And
okay, so that's interesting too. You can check out the interview with Jesse Michaels on UFP Tuesday on Christian Harloff's official channel. It was a 1 hour and a half talk, but then Sands has his Twitter account, right? So he just released a statement where he basically tries to clarify the 20 and back thing, and also he demands for Eric Davis and Rick Doty to retract their statements about him and correct them, because he thinks they're misrepresenting him. And this story keeps evolving, So the final part of this story is that I've been speaking to people within the community. Some of them are bigwigs, some of them are not, but they know about this story. And I can tell you guys that Sands is in about 3 to 4% of the James Fox documentary. He's not in he's in a fraction of it. So there's that, right? I'm not saying that he's believable or not. I'm not saying that he's lying or anything. I want people to make up their own minds about him, but it is important to know details like this, right? And also there's this fear or uncertainty of the way in which he decided to uh, tell his story. And I can tell you guys that the way it happened is that he was being talked about in a different space, and spaced out radio, I think it is. And someone must have told him that he was being talked about, and it wasn't very good, right? Like he was being heavily criticized, and people were telling his story for him. And that's when he decided to jump on the space and start talking about it. He went on for hours, and the whole recording is up online by many sources. One of them I can think of right now, it's Logan Black, Full Stack Logan on Twitter. He uploaded the whole recording, so you can go and check it out for yourselves. I'll leave it in the description too. But essentially, that's the story about Sans. We still don't know whether he's gonna continue to appear in these spaces or maybe even do an interview with someone. I shot my shot. I sent him a tweet asking him to be on the big thing or on Down to Earth. I told him that he could check out the what we do here, and he can make up his own mind, because I know there's a lot of people who don't necessarily have great intentions if they want to interview him. I thought it was very interesting that he was very earnest about taking questions from anybody. He did take questions from everybody you can think of the skeptics and the debunkers, and he answered them quite well, I think. Whether that doesn't mean that he's truthful or not, that's for people to decide, and time will tell. I mean, evidence will keep coming forward. And but yeah, he is known in the community. He is who he says he is. I can confirm that. And we'll just keep going and keep searching for more information on him. And hopefully he can I don't know, consider coming on one of these shows. If not us, maybe another one. Of the most the newer ones, because I know there are some shows out there that have been for a long time showing, but some of them seem to have changed their stance on all of this. And many of them went on full debunkers for some reason. So uh, if he goes into one of those shows, they're going to grill him, and he's not, I don't know if he's going to be completely open to responding to any question if he feels attacked in any way. So we're trying to get to the truth. And I think the best way to do that is to at least make him feel comfortable and hear his story, and just keep digging for information on him, which is already happening. So I'm gonna leave the links on all the descriptions. I'm gonna ask you guys to hit the subscribe button right here. We just hit 20,000. We're about to hit 21,000. We're trying to get to 50,000 before the end of the year, hopefully. You guys can help us with that. You've been very active in the comments, and engagement has been wild. So we thank you for that. And I'll see you later. Back to you, Christian.